I think we'll actually take it back to you so you can introduce yourself and your project. And we're going to be talking about building compliant projects to enable mass adoption, which is great. That's a great topic to discuss. Mass adoption is what it's all about, after all. So, Parth, why don't you go ahead and start by introducing yourself and your project?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So, I'm Parth. I have been in the crypto space for like 8 years now. I was mining ETH back in 2014. Post that, I was contributing to Litecoin. After that, I built Tinder, but for esport players. That was a fun project, and I sold that. After that, I actually worked with the Indian government and built one of the largest like identity blockchains, and that's how I got into identities. And that blockchain is now being used by about 5 million people. So
Wow.
yeah,
Did
yeah.
you say Tinder, but for esport players?
So it's not a male to female, man. It's
Oh,
a skill-based matchmaking platform. Yeah,
oh, that's super cool. Although it would be pretty funny to have Tinder specifically for esports players. Maybe they could use it. That's a difficult job.
yeah. That's a difficult job for sure. No, I used to play a lot of esports when I was a kid, and I couldn't find players of my skill level, so I ended up building a platform. Discord wasn't a thing back then, so I ended up building a website that would matchmake. That would take in my weighted average of my elo, my essentially like headshot percentages, this that, and then match me with
Mhm.
like a similar player. So it was a fun thing, man.
Oh, cool.
Um, yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah.
Mhm. All
Super
right.
quickly on. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so super quickly on Freely as well. I've been in a bunch of like router spaces, so people already do know us. But just to reiterate, Freely, we're all about onboarding people onto Web3. We cannot expect our moms and dads, our friends and families to ever use Web3 how it is today, right? All these extensions, seed phrases, crypto
Yes.
wallets, it's and all these different chains. It's painful. Multiple chains, it's painful. So what we want to do, what we're essentially trying to do is give people something that they are already used to, and that's names and passwords, right? People are used to, parth@gmail.com and a password.
Sure.
So we are essentially building that. So one name that you can, go onto OpenSea, you click sign with freely, enter your name and a password, and boom, you're logged in, right? You don't need any extension. It's, you can go on any chain, any dApp, any device, and use this name and password, and you still hold your funds. It's all about Web3 ethos. It's non-custodial. It's AA powered. So yeah, that's a quick blurb about Freely. We have a lot of cool things coming up. We are actually rebranding to something very cool, and then we have a lot of announcements coming up as well. So yeah.
Very cool. My co-host Manisha has a comment. Go ahead, Manisha.
Hey guys. Just wanted to move, since we're moving on to the next panel, just wanted to say bye to everyone. Abbas, Rick, Divi, thanks for being here.
And you guys were all great, by the way. We had to keep it super short, but thank you so much for your insights.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
guys. Bye-bye.
guys.
Thank you, guys. All right, let's go ahead and go over to Karan. Why don't you introduce yourself and your project, please?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Justin. I'm Karan Ambwani. I'm leading the dYdX Foundation in India. And for those of you who don't know about dYdX, it's one of the leading decentralized exchanges out there for perpetual futures. And at the foundation, we focus a lot on the governance, the community, education, everything around the protocol. So I've just a quick introduction about myself. I have been in this space, like wearing many different hats. I have worked as product guy, done a bunch of strategy roles, founded my own decentralized exchange on Cosmos, and recently like focusing a lot, of course, on the governance effort for the dYdX Foundation, and also building the DeFi space and education in India. So that's about me.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. And Saumya, Saumya, I think. Correct my pronunciation. And please introduce yourself and your project.
Yeah, thanks, Justin. It's Saumya, and yeah, I've been
Saumya.
yeah, Saumya. So
Okay.
I mean,
Sorry, I'm terrible. I'm
Justin,
terrible.
Saumya means delicate.
oh yeah, I mean
Okay.
benign. Yeah, but I feel I've been in this space for a while. I think like 2 years ago is when I joined the.
Right. Did we lose you?
Hey,
I think you're probably having a connection
yeah,
problem. Sorry.
Oh, I think I went on mute. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you're back.
Justin, I've
Okay.
been in this space for the past, I think, like 10 odd years. I've been working in the traditional financial space. 2 years ago is when I got into crypto. And I think most of my work has been around like financial consulting, investment banking. And the past couple of years is when we've, again, like Abbas in the previous panel, have been consulting different projects on growth strategy. And what we are building now with Purple Pay today is a compliant payment solution, an identity-backed payment solution. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Let's go ahead and take it over to Dex. Dex, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your project, please?
Hey guys, hi everyone. I'm definitely the pseudonym is Bruce and not the actual name. Okay, so yeah, we are building DeFi ecosystem on Mantle Network, FusionX. Okay, so FusionX is like a native DeFi ecosystem which includes concentrated liquidity AMM, counterparty perpetual, and LSD based stablecoin. So where our goal is to build allow other protocols to build their own protocols on top of the base layers of AMM, perpetual, and LSDs. So that is what we are building on
Right.
Mantle Network.
Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Today, we should really jump right into it. So it's easy to pick on the SEC, of course. I was actually just doing it in the other topic, but right now, what it constitutes a good risk, at least here in the U.S. and to a degree in the EU, where the MiCA rules have not really taken place yet. They aren't in effect for another 2 years, but they have been laid out. So anybody who's looking to build a project is going to have to pay attention to them. There aren't as many options as there were a while back. It seems, Karan, that I have missed my opportunity to release my yield bearing Stella token named after my dog. I was gonna, have it staked on faith and just give it an 18% return for people staking on my platform. And darn it, people like Terra Luna come along and spoil that for me. So these days, what kind of risks are we at liberty to take with these projects, and what kind of projects are going to need to look for a non-U.S. audience and even a non-EU audience in order to be able to proceed, or how are they going to be able to pivot to reach those audiences?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Justin, of course, the regulatory environment is evolving. It has always been following the technology trends, or at least like most of the times, what we see is technology, of course, picks up faster. People start using some particular product, and once it starts impacting a lot of lives, then that's when regulations or compliances usually come in. So, how I look at Web3 or blockchain or crypto space is essentially it's a very young space. We have maybe like spend less than 2 decades in uh, this domain, and whatever we are building is fairly new, fairly complex. A lot of systems are designed in a way that they are going to change how things are structured traditionally. uh, like for example, of course, with the entire narrative of decentralization, the entire ethos of the space, and also how like different organizations are structured, whether it's DAOs or whether it's like foundation structures managing all this. So it's a complex environment, and I keep giving this example, like when initially like cars were developed, or any automobile that came in the world. I'm sure people started driving it before there were road signals, or there were lane systems, or anything along those lines, right? So we are still very early, we are still very new. The only difference between a car example and a digital asset example is that digital just takes its place faster in the world. It just like gets into the hands of many people quicker. So to your point, of course, there are many challenges. There are many, whenever there's like this financial opportunity for making like easy money, a lot of scammers, a lot of people with bad intentions come faster than people to police the rules, right? So I think that's how I look at it. And I'm not a legal expert to talk about specific geographies. But what I personally feel is, as we become more and more matured, as these business models take a better shape, we will start seeing regulatory environment and clearing out around it as well.
Okay, excellent. Saumya, what do you think?
One, I love Karan's example the car as a new technology. And I feel like that's an interesting analogy, because from where we are right now, I think at this point in time, the amount of fraud has like significantly increased, and it's said that 68% of like crypto transactions happen from illicit accounts, right? Which is like there's no KYC, we don't know who this person is, how they're moving money, and there are organizations like Chainalysis, etc., that are trying to fix it. But as this tech evolves, as this more and more privacy tech, compliance and regulation becomes really, really important, because even though this space is new, even though this space has elements of speculation attached to it, this is still a space where people operate that want to be contributing to society and paying their taxes on time, and just like ensuring that they're not like money laundering or terrorism financing. So I feel that whole piece still is critical, and while the tech has evolved, like regulation will keep on catching up to it.
Right. Okay. Well, what do you think, going over to Dex, what kind of projects is this environment really favoring? Well, I told that little example about my fictional token named after my dog, because I think that one of the worst places to be right now is in an area where you're trying to offer a yield-bearing token. You're at risk of selling unlicensed securities as far as the SEC is concerned, and they've been very clear about that. There are criminal charges wrapped up in the. Well, actually, I don't know that. Maybe there are personal charges against CZ as well as against Binance. I don't know that they're criminal; they may just be civil. But obviously, they're kind of throwing down the gauntlet and saying that they're not going to have this kind of device. So, what are people going to pivot to in order to bring in that very active degen crowd?
Yeah, so I think not sure about which kind of product will work, but which kind of product will definitely not work after Mica is definitely the stablecoin in the initial time. Okay, because there are so many things they have to keep in mind. Like an example, if you take a look, like recently PayPal launched their Pi USD, right? So similar thing, like they had put so many restrictions at the contract level, which is required from regulatory point of view, and I think that would be very critical for projects like offering yield-bearing stuff like stablecoin or anything. And the projects which might work, I'm not sure. Like it could be completely contradictory opinion, but we might see some kind of KYC based dApps coming up in Europe. Let's say, for an example, like I was discussing with one guy, and he mentioned that some of the teams are like building KYC version of Uniswap kind of thing. Though ultimately it's not decentralized, but they want to do like kind of on-chain, AMM, you can say, right? Like only Swiss citizens can access it, like provide the liquidity, and also we might see that kind of thing, and that might become normal down the line, maybe when the technology matures, when the regulation itself matures, like Karan mentioned, Saumya mentioned. Karan gave a very good example of that. So yeah, we would be like, till now, till the Mica actually comes up, it would be very uncertain period for this kind of like algorithmic stablecoin or yield-bearing stablecoin and all.
Right, perfect. Well, guys, Dex, Sami, Karan, thank you so much. These are insanely fast panels. We're going to start moving on to so it's kind of like a speed round. We appreciate you guys all participating, and go ahead and connect with me on Twitter. I do lots of shows all the time. It'd be great to have you on again. We appreciate all your contributions.